So my name is Danson Muchemi. I'm founder and CEO of Jambo Pay, an innovative electronic payment service that operates here in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda and Ghana. I love football. I travel a lot. That's us. Sometimes I feel like there's the entrepreneur, there's the Danson Muchemi, the social person who loves to travel a lot, to meet new people, to learn new things. I take risks. I also have recently acquired taste for or love for farming. So, generally the real Danson that has been the Danson that is 80% is the Danson Muchemi, the CEO of Jambo Pay. I was born in Nyandarua in early 80s. Let me say that. I grew up in a rural village called Sytle, and I studied at a school called Primary School. Actually went to two schools. The first early years of my life, I went to a school called Primary School in Laikipia, and then joined Primary School from class 3 all the way to class 8. I later joined Goview Boys in Embu at the slopes of Mount Kenya, and eventually ended up at Kenyatta University for a degree in telecommunication and information technology. But in between there, in terms of education, I also studied a diploma at Strathmore University, then it was Strathmore College. And of course, the biggest university is the University of Life. So, been in that university since. I'm still not yet graduated at the school and the University of Life, learning a lot of things here and there. My parents were teachers, and so there was a lot of primary school teachers. So they were just, at least my mother was teaching me in primary school. So I grew up at a point where you are basically being forced to toe the line. I had rabbits. I reared rabbits in my early years. I think my parents thought this boy needs to be grounded. He needs to be given a lot of responsibilities. And rabbits, they feed a lot. So I grew up feeding rabbits, making toys, because then we did not have, I never saw a shop for toys. I would make, if it's the vehicle, I would make the car, I would make the car. If it's the ball, you would make it with the polythene paper bags. We had a few neighbors, so they occasionally go out and have this football plays, and there was a grandmother who also was around, and she really got me farming. We'd go to the shamba with her when I was very young. And my brother and my sisters, I have a sister and I have a brother, I'm firstborn in a family of 3. They're also around me as I grew up. Anyone who has bred rabbits is a responsibility that you just assume. First, you have this attachment to the rabbits when they are small. You see them, they are small, and then they grow up, and you feed them. They feed a lot. And if you breed rabbits and you do not keep them in good environment, there is sometimes ants and safari ants will attack them, will eat them up. And there is a feeling that you feel the pain of losing rabbits. And then I think that was a lesson I learned, to be responsible. I also learned out of those rabbits breeding that you can grow something from something very small. They bred as I fed them. And I also learned that you get to make an earning. You earn. The first earning I made, the first shillings, the first 200 bob was out of selling, I think there were 2 rabbits that I sold, 100 shillings each. And then around me was also a lot of, there was a community around, and part of what I also learned was, you could stick to a point where you're born and raised, your village, and become just like the people around you, and the opportunities that are limited to your vicinity. So I was not very happy with the environment, the village, and I remember grazing cows sometimes, and I would look up and you sleeping there because the hours seemed endless, and I would see aeroplanes, the planes fly by, and I would like imagine there are guys up there is a pilot there are guys who are coming from somewhere to somewhere, and that really got me or invoked something in me on a need to explore new things, to look at new heights, to imagine new possibilities, and try to get to new horizons. The journey, let alone I have, of course, seen that doesn't matter where you start and where you are at whatever point in life. I think the most important thing is where you're going, and the extent of your vision, and the farther your horizons are, the better for you. So all this is probably what I learned as I grew up. But of course, the biggest lesson I learned is you need to be real, and you need to be very disciplined, and of course, godly. You need to have God in your life. If you worked out all these other things and are not disciplined, you don't have a vision, and most importantly, you do not have God in your life, then you basically will still end up feeling very empty. And I lost my dad while I was in high school. And so there was a moment that I felt like really you have to really work very hard. You have to really work hard to support your family, siblings, and so forth. And then after university, I really felt I needed to do and cause something new to happen. I looked around and I wanted initially to start an e-commerce shop. I remember we bought a domain called mamamboga.com, but we could not do much with it because we did not have a means of getting to receive money. And so we focus now on creating that platform, or enabling that likes of mamamboga.coms could securely receive money online in Kenya. And that's how Jambo Pay was born. Jambo Pay innovatively helps businesses and governments and individuals to collect funds and disburse money over mobile phone, over the internet, and through banks and agencies across the world. So we got to that point because we wanted to facilitate e-commerce payments, and facilitation of e-commerce payment meant that you had to build some systems that are secure. You needed to have certain regulatory approvals from regulators. You need to have partnerships with banks and telcos and other parties. And that for us was enough job for us to focus on being an electronic payment service provider or a digital payment service company. And that's what we are. We started in a cyber cafe. I basically walked into a cyber cafe because I did not have a computer. And I knew the single most important tool I needed was a computer, an internet connection, and a desk, like somewhere to sit. And looking around, the only place I could find all those were in a cyber cafe. So I walked into a cyber cafe that was surprisingly here. It was in View Park Towers on 12th floor. And I rented one computer there for 4,500. And that was my office. So that's where we did our first vision, mission statements. That's where we defined the goals. That's where the dream of becoming a Pan-African company was born. And in fact, even the first letter I wrote to the central bank, seeking for their regulation and guidance, we did it at the cyber cafe. I convinced a friend of mine to join me, and so we took a second computer there. Of course, we did not stop at the cyber. We grew, and to the next, we took over the next office. We took the entire place. Now as you see here, we occupy the entire floor, and another one up there. So, and moved to other countries. And of course, over time, inspired many other young people who have joined the Jambo Pay to come in. We've researched, or we started very early days researching on the opportunities, the needs that are out there, what needed to be done, and how it needed to get done. We have continued to invest, of course, in technology. From that one computer, of course, the computer did not belong to us now, since we have invested in a lot of infrastructure like computers, servers. We have our own data centers, call centers, and so forth. So it's the journey was probably, to sum it up, was like this: working every day, first beginning in forming a dream, identifying where and what I needed to start, the minimum requirements that were for me to get to start Jambo Pay, and then which was the computer, regardless of where it was. And then we brought together our thoughts and inspired many other people to join in the journey, and worked very closely with the government in terms of regulation to make sure we were compliant, record keeping, keeping our vision and mission very clear to ourselves and to the community around, the partners and the clients, including the Standard Group, which has been our client, I think, for some years, and so forth. Now we have grown from that one cyber cafe to an organization that is serving over 5,000 organizations, over 2.1 million subscribers, and transacting over 50 billion annually for our clients, automating cities and large organizations, small companies, farmers, and helping individuals to secure a pay and get paid. I always wanted to be responsible over things. I always wanted to cause things to be and to solve problems. I have always loved challenges. In fact, any day I love challenges, and the bigger the better. So I guess that is what is entrepreneurship, where you love challenges, when you look forward to challenges, when you look forward to giving solutions to problems, and then doing that sustainably. So when I was very young, I wanted to become a pilot. Of course, that was drawn out of going out and grazing and seeing planes fly by. And that really was with me for, I think, up to class 6, 7. And then I got into, probably, I had this idea of becoming, I saw a lot of social ills around. There was a time I thought I should become someone in civil society, like activist. I saw a lot of social ills that I was not happy about. And at the university that I realized, even those social ills, I am not able to solve them unless I'm empowered well enough. And the only point of empowerment, that level, would have come from entrepreneurship. And I'm happy today as an entrepreneur because we as entrepreneurs are at a point where you are able to at least impact on people positively. We support causes, we support people in education. We can now wake up here and decide we want to cause a change to someone or to a community or society at large, because entrepreneurs are, especially responsible entrepreneurs, are people who have the power to change the society positively. And so I still feel that activist, only that I'm not in the forefront. I can do that through other means as an entrepreneur, especially sustainably through other people and investment in investing our resources and time in certain causes. I started this business when I was, I think, around 25 or getting to 25 years. So you can guess I'm moving 35, moving to 35. And so I'm among the oldest guys here. Jambo Pay has very youthful guys, as you can see here. But I think the first thing is being true to each other. We are very open about our plans and about the position of the company. We give opportunities to young people to, if you join Jambo Pay, it's a challenge to prove to yourself, to the world, what you are made of. So we give people opportunity to come here and shine and show the world what they are made of. So you find we have very young people leading departments. I think the first point of motivation is being open and challenging each other, and the staff here, my colleagues here at Jambo Pay, to take up big challenges that are not just local but global. I think number two is the environment. As you see, we have an environment that is conducive in terms of we have music, we have lunch, we have, for the people, some of us who are getting tummies, we have gym, we have a lot of other things. But I think the biggest is in ownership. 10% of Jambo Pay is reserved for its employees who have accomplished certain aspects of their roles and duties here. So it's a lot of other things, but I think the biggest and what I pride myself in is in that the business has ownership, that is employees. I think I'm inspired a lot by the fact that we have a lot of people out there, especially women, who have accomplished a lot in very, very tough conditions. A lot of women entrepreneurs, small ones, that they are not even doing big things, but you see women every day. I've seen women and men, but I see a lot of women who wake up and they go to the comba. You know, most of the traders in this city, in the markets, are women, you know, and so that really inspires me to work harder and build a better environment for them to transact, to do their business at a global level and securely with a lot of information. And that's what Jambo Pay is. We basically are building a platform that should enable business to happen for the local traders at a level that is a global level through e-commerce and such other enablements that are digital. So that really inspires me. I also got a lot of my colleagues here at Jambo Pay. Every time I wake up early and I sit at my desk and I see each one of them coming in and with a lot of energy and positivity, I get inspired to work even harder for towards the cause that they also have joined me towards. I mean, working towards. I have actually never felt like giving up. It has been very tough times, extremely tough. There has been moments, of course, every phase of our business has had challenges. When we started off, we didn't have a profile. You basically collect money for people. Imagine a youngster, 25 years old, walking to your business and asking you to collect your money. Like, you have your customers and they're telling you, okay, I want to collect money for your customer. Of course, digitally. Literally, that's what we were doing. It's a big challenge. We did not have funds to run. That's why we were doing this at the Cyber Cafe. And it was very tough. We have gone through, I've had to automate some establishments that are very political. And I've had to go through a lot of shenanigans. It's a lot of name calling, a lot of summons to the parks, senates, peak, budget committees and so forth, sometimes for no reason apparent at all. And a lot of even legal issues sometimes here and there. So it's been moments of hardships, and there has also been very great moments where we have won awards. We have accomplished very good results for our customers, positive efficiencies for businesses and organizations and governments, growth, and a lot of other good things. So all of them have come in. So I've never really felt like giving up. I have always thought, when it's very tough, I have always thought of plan B, C, and D, not on what else to do, on how to resolve a challenge. I think my greatest accomplishment is just setting up and getting the business up. The day I decided that we are starting Jambo Pay, that day that I walked into the Cyber Cafe and walked in again the following day very early and would keep walking every day, I think that was the deal breaker for us. Everything else, the big projects that we are doing all over Africa, they are not as big as that moment when we did not have resources, we did not have name, we did not have experience. It's not as big as that. I think that's what was the biggest moment. We have won various awards in innovation. That's Google Innovation Awards in financial services. We have had listings on Forbes as some of the most promising businesses in Africa, top 40 under 40 myself. Also the CNBC Africa Innovators of the Year. There are very many. The best fintech beer awards. We got CIO awards. Just last week I was in Denmark on a award on Cloud Transformers award. I think every month or two we have award that we are getting. They are good, but I think the best feeling is where you sign contract and execute those contracts to the betterment of people out there, and the impact that we have on the society is what really I think is the biggest win. And also getting to push Jambo Pay to be a brand that is competing globally in the fintech space, and getting recognized just by virtue of that we have achieved great strides like automating cities and so forth. You are the CEO of your life. There is no value that you can attach to yourself. You cannot be sold for $1 billion. You're worth probably much more. So to start off, you're CEO of yourself, and to get to show your worth and your value to this world will just takes you starting somewhere, and not starting tomorrow. Starting now, you got to build that conviction in yourself that you CEO of yourself and you CEO of whatever enterprise or whatever position that, because it's not all about business. Sometimes it's about even the positions that you occupy in business and in your community, churches and so forth. And then you got to be consistent. You have to be disciplined, and you have to be godly. You have to do whatever you do, not just for yourself, but also for other people.